Hi, everyone. Welcome back to ITBR Rewatches Queer as Folk, Season 1, Episode 3. I'm Dr. Andrew Rimby for everyone out there. Before I introduce my exciting co-host, I want to just remind you previously on the ITBR Rewatches, just like they do in TV shows, that like flashback, just to bring you all back to Queer as Folk. Remember in Episode 2, Michael stays in the closet at work, causes problems with an interested coworker, Tracy. He's also struggling with his feelings of jealousy over Brian's relationship with Justin. Spoiler alert, that doesn't change in episode 3. So episode 2 was called Queer There and Everywhere, and episode 3 is called No Bris, No Shirt, No Service. Okay, so without further ado, I'm so excited to be joined with Aaron Wallis. So Aaron told me he is a multi-hyphenate artist, a videographer, a storyteller, a photographer, I think a designer, you even said. So many things. So, Aaron, welcome to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, how long, this is my first question every time someone comes on this Queer as Folk show, is did you actually know about this series before I reached out?
Yes, I was 13 when it originally aired. And I remember watching it like with my remote in my hand on the recall button so that I could switch back and forth because it was a little mature for my age. But it was the only thing I think at the time where it showed gay people,
Mhm.
people that I knew were like me.
Yeah. So were you already out at 13 or I mean
Oh,
this was
no.
2000. So
Uh, no, I'm from a small town in Arkansas. So I did not come out until I was in grad school and I was 26
okay. Okay.
or
So
25, 6.
what was the uh entry point or realization I should say of when you knew that you were had to come out?
I kind of had my first gay friend during grad school, and I had some other friends that were very accepting. And it kind of being able to be myself around them or them get to know the real me just was so freeing. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, it's time.
Were
And
you
I came out.
are you currently still in Arkansas?
I am, yes.
So I'm just curious, are you still in that small town community?
I am close to it. I live about 30 minutes
Okay.
east of it. I live in Conway, which if anyone's watched RuPaul's Drag Race, the winner Simone, I live in the town she was from.
Oh wow.
That's how I always tell I'm like that's how I always like that's my our claim to fame is her and Chris Allen, who won American Idol season 8. Um, so it's about 50,000 people, and we're right outside Little Rock, but it's still very conservative. It's just I live in a college town. So there's a bunch of colleges close by. There's 3 in our town alone. So it's a little bit more open minded than a lot of other places.
Yeah. So the Aaron now, like, do you feel that if you were 13 now, now where you're living, that you would feel comfortable coming out, like as that 13-year-old?
Maybe
Mhm.
when I like being 13 in 2000 was very different from being 13 today, I would say. There's so many different like kids aren't afraid to show their true authentic selves. Whereas I think that was what I had trouble with. And I come from a very religious family. So I guess it would just depend because I think I would still be scared to tell my family at 13, even today, just because of the area I live in and the climate of today's world.
And I have to be honest, I do not know a lot at all about Arkansas.
Oh, I don't
I'm a
either, so don't worry.
oh, I'm a very northeast based person. Or
I had some
like
friends.
so like northeast, west coast, some south, but Yeah, never been to Arkansas. That's a state I haven't been to. But
I
it
have
is, yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say I had friends that came here. They're like, "What should we do?" They're from New York, and I was like, "I have no clue." Uh, and then they started telling us about some of the things they did. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's some interesting things I should probably check out." But when you live here, you just get your everyday life just gets busy. You don't look out for those touristy options.
Yeah, yeah. So I think into this episode, like what's so interesting about your backstory is something that I just is a through line in every one of these episodes is Justin coming to terms with his sexuality and being openly gay. Um, well, openly gay with his friend Daphne, not his parents yet.
Mhm.
That will happen eventually. So was this how long had it been since you had seen Queer as Folk?
The first, I watched the entire series finally when they released it on Netflix that first time. I sat down and I watched first episode to final episode. Whereas before I had just seen it here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's probably been a few years since I've seen this episode.
Yeah. So this episode, right, carries us directly into the Bris. I mean, we don't get Justin really in this episode until the end. So we'll have to like save I'll save all of his awakening to the end. Um because we get the Bris, we get Lindsay and Melanie um together, and they have Gus, who was named by Justin, and uh Michael and Brian joking about all the lesbians at the party. And again, I had brought this up before on the podcast, but we get that slang term and pejorative term, the munchers brunch. I was just like, this to me is what it does feel 2000y. And it's just like, oh, the munchers.
There were quite a few moments in this episode that I didn't even realize back when I watched it a few years ago. Kind of problematic with some of the the things they would say when they were talking about Lindsay. Oh, let's go talk to Lindsay because she speaks. And I'm quoting the sushi. I was just like,
Oh,
oh my
yes.
gosh. I was like,
Oh, yes, yes. With the
watching it
escort.
with 2023 eyes, I was just like,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, and that our representation of an Asian American gay man is an escort
Yeah.
is also interesting. Um, I mean, there is racial diversity in the show at times, but also to see how they cast the characters in what kinds of roles is also eye-opening. Yeah, the speaking, like, does Lindsay knows how to speak sushi is or no, Melanie, right? Is it Melanie? I'm trying to
Yeah,
I
it's
think
Melanie.
Melanie. Yeah, Lindsay is Taya Gill. Okay. Melanie is Michelle Clooney, who follows us, Aaron. So hi, Michelle. She's awesome. Um,
Oh.
but yeah, I wonder how she feels about that line about, she knows how to speak sushi. Yeah, that was, well, also, again, I don't approve of like this term, but I'll say it because it's in the show. You hear dyke a lot
Mhm.
from the gay men. I think as a gay man, I've never said that amongst my gay male friends. Like we've never just like been like, yeah, you know, those dykes. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't, it's not part of the language
Mhm.
in my friend group, but
No,
um,
in mine either.
maybe among women. I don't know. Like any lesbians out there, do they like use that term the way some gay men have taken back, FAG?
Yeah.
Again, like I know I have friends who are so comfortable saying it. I still like pause before I say it and I'm like, should I actually say the word? And then I don't know. I feel conflicted. Like, how do you feel about that word?
Todrick Hall has a song called Fag. And
Mhm.
there's something about this song that just it's empowering when he says it, like the way he's like, you call me. Yeah, it's just I was like, oh, okay, I never looked at it that way. Um,
I have to listen to that now.
yeah,
I love
it's
Todrick Hall.
I do too. And there's just there's something about that song. I was just like, it's fun. I play it for people who I know. Sometimes this is probably so mean to me. Be like, oh, here, this song is great, and I played it for a friend, and she was like, they said, I'm like, yeah, it just I wanted to know her reaction to hearing.
You just
FH.
want the shock
But
value.
yeah,
Oh my God. Mm,
I kind of love those moments where people just get like, oh, like they think, how are you not? I'm like, I don't let the word affect me like it used to.
mm.
If when I was 13, if you would have said it, I probably would have cried myself to sleep that night. Now I'd be like, okay, sure. That's what you want to call me, fine. I don't let the word have power over me.
Yeah. Well, and I feel that same way. Like if someone like threw that word at me, it would just bounce off my back. But,
Mhm.
you know, I think for me, the reason it's so different than like it still sticks with me is just because that word was used when I had come out. Like some people had called me that when I came out, so it hurts more than say um
Yeah.
I don't know, cocksucker. Like that doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, yeah, I am a cocksucker. Like what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I mean
I
eventually
think
I'm working my way through that. So,
I think one of the reasons I have been able to not let that word affect me as much anymore is the podcast that I originally started was called Queers and Soaps. And when we decided on that name, it was like we want to take back that word. And
mm,
it felt empowering. So I think once I got past that because growing up, queer was a bad word in Arkansas. It probably still is to some people. But now I'm just like, I'm proud of it.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, actually, I should mention I've had someone from Arkansas, Kelly Ford, the queer female thriller writer, who
Oh,
does crime writing. I'm pretty sure she's from Arkansas. Um, that's just
Kelly
coming to
Ford.
me. So okay, so we then get before the bris and all the like shenanigans and volatility and fighting that happens, we then get a flashback to Michael saying like, and this is what happened earlier. And of course, where are they? But at the gym. This
Mhm.
is like where all of their philosophical discussions are going to happen. Um, so how do you what do you think about how serious? I always find Michael like really wants these in-depth conversations in the most erotic places. He's like, no, now's the time for me to lay a diatribe to you, Brian. And Brian's like, I'm just trying to find a cock. Like, I'm just trying to find a guy to hook up with. Like, leave me alone.
Mhm.
And, but yeah, so how does that gym scene sit with you when they're like talking?
Well, I don't go to the gym very much, so I'm always like, it reminds me every time I see anything with the gym, it just reminds me that I'm not working out. It brings back those insecurities sometimes of gay men are supposed to look a certain way. Um, and it's just we I know they spend a lot of time in the gym. I think that adds to that stereotype that all gay men go to the gym.
Yeah. I
And
see you looking at me. I do go to the
no, no,
gym, but
no, no, no. I wish I had the
okay.
willpower to go to the gym. I do not have the willpower. Uh, I'm trying to embrace my body
Well, the gym
positivity.
is an erotic place. It's still to me
Okay, see, maybe
I
it's
like the
because of
eye
where
candy.
I'm from.
Uh,
It's not like it's you just go there to work out. There's no steam rooms. There's no anything like that that I'm aware of.
there's not even a
So
sauna.
it's never. I guess I'd have to go to the gym to find that out.
Uh, I feel like I'm sending you on a mission. Where's
Yeah,
the sauna area?
go
No, no.
explore the different gyms. Yeah, I don't
But
really
yeah,
have when it comes to the gym being exotic or
yeah.
no,
Well,
it's never been like that for me.
well, and when you work in when you work out in a really like gay or queer concentrated place, like when I've worked out on Fire Island, like that's a very I've spoken about this before. I think in episode 2 I did. Because the gym again was like featured. But
Mm,
that time it was Justin and like the football players are in episode 2. But like even though I'm in the suburbs of New York City on Long Island, um, there's still it's not just I'm not around a lot of like openly gay people, but there's still because I am just so openly who I am and authentic, I like have so many friends at the gym. I have so many like um straight guys who I'll joke with. So like there's that comfortability for me. It's more the community. But yeah, I think that there's always bodies that you're attracted to when they're so on display, right? Everyone kind of wants to wear certain clothing at the gym, depending, um, that there's more to stare at. Like there's a lot of male interaction, even when you're not gay. You don't have to be gay to have male gym interaction.
I think always living in a small town, I was always afraid someone at the gym was going to think I was checking them out. And I didn't
Yeah.
want to bring that kind of attention to me. The one thing I do always think about is I'm wondering what they're listening to, because here I could be working out hardcore and in my head it's, oops, it's Britney. So I love to know what other people, I'm like, I wonder if some of these buff guys are like listening to show tunes or something. But I try to focus on what I was doing when I'm at the gym, because I'm always afraid like someone gonna be like, you're looking at me. I'm not one of those fags, and beat the
Well, you
shit
know
out of
what?
me.
I think there's a lot of people, not just about sexuality. I think that there's a lot at the gym, just because I'm friends with a lot of fitness trainers and influencers, that they'll say to me, so many um put their wall up at the gym instead of like asking for help or things, because they don't want to seem that they don't know what they're doing, that they're uh going to be called out. Like, I do think there's a lot of pressure that people feel
Oh
internalized at
yeah.
the gym, because it is about bodies, and it's, we have a lot of attachments to bodies and our understanding around that.
Especially in the gay community.
Yeah. Well,
So to look
especially
a
in this
certain
gym
way.
in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, nonetheless. I mean, um, they make this Pittsburgh, again, no offense to Pittsburgh, but they make this as if it is Manhattan. Like I thought it is in Manhattan, the way that all these men are working out at the gym. It's that does happen in Manhattan, like a steam room and that kind of bathhouse culture, shall we call it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of a steam room. Like if I go to a spa, Aaron, um, I love Atlantic City spas, and like that's where you can get that you can get that experience of like um an all male and an all female spa, and they'll have like the steam room, the cold water plunge, the
Okay.
um hot tubs, your nice like iced teas, and it's an experience. Like anyone out there, like you need to, if you want to treat yourself, like go to a spa as a staycation. It's and bring a book, the
Okay.
best. Yeah. I'm sure you have spas in
Oh,
Arkansas where you live.
we do. That's not something I ever search out.
Okay. Okay. I'll get you into the self-care. Are you a bubble bath person?
I do love, I love facials and face
Okay.
masks and baths and all that. So, but all of my self-care stuff happens at home.
I see. It's a private,
Yeah.
it's not for the public's consumption. Okay.
Yes.
I'm getting it. I see. I've just met Aaron. Like I've known him on social media, everyone out there, to be transparent, but I feel like I'm getting a lot of psyche from you, really. You can tell I'm very probing right away. So
Oh,
thanks for putting up
I
with me.
I'm an open book. I will talk about anything.
Yeah. Anyone who comes on this
Not
podcast,
be that way. I
yeah,
used to be, and people get shocked because they're like, "Wow, you were a quiet kid." I was like, "Well, I had this as a kid. I was very flamboyant, I feel, but as I got to like middle school, high school, in that first few years of college, I was very reserved and quiet because I was afraid of bringing attention to myself.
mm,
And but then one day grad school happened. I made some friends that helped me let me be myself, and can't shut up now.
yeah. Well, so the most important question I have for you is would you have sex in a steam room? Is like a bacterial question I
Ooh.
have.
Hmm. If I knew I wouldn't go to jail, yeah, no problem. I'd do it
Would
with
you
the right
choose?
person. I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
don't think I could do it with a stranger.
Hmm.
I could never be Brian. I can never just walk in there like be like, yo, and then just boom, I like to kind of know the person a little bit. Like we don't have to be best friends, but
Hmm. Well, when I was in, again, everyone out there is going to think like I'm always on these excursions. Like, no, these are like some key moments in my life. But when I was in Vegas and I went to the Luxor, the Pyramid Hotel Casino, um, they do have a nice spa. I was young when I went, but I was like old enough. You have to be a certain age to go to spas. You have to be 17, I think. Um, because of the nudity and maybe not just the nudity, but because, yeah, probably because of the nudity. Who knows? Um, but also, your body you're not supposed to be in like subject your body to certain things when you're too young. It's like working out. You shouldn't be lifting heavy weights when you're 10 or 11 or 12. So I have seen men grabbing each other's cocks in a sauna. Um, much to my parents' chagrin, like if they heard this, which they probably won't be shocked by it, but they'll be like, oh, okay, that's why Andrew had such an awakening really quickly, like knew the world. But yeah, I've seen it. Like if it's an environment where men are cruising, again, like the gym I go to is probably, I mean, maybe not like the one you're describing in Arkansas, but it's still not a very concentrated gay community. So like that would not happen in the sauna or this. I don't have a steam room in the gym I go to, but like it wouldn't happen in that space. And also, I'm not really into having sexual encounters in like heavily infested bacterial, like in a
Yeah,
shower or
that's my
something.
other thing. I when they that bathroom scene in this episode, I was just like, how? Like all I can think is just germs, and not that I'm like a huge germaphobe or anything, but it's just the bathrooms to me are one, like public bathrooms is one of the dirtiest things ever to me. So seeing that, I was like, no, thank you. Like
Yeah.
I need a cleaner area than a bathroom to hook up with someone if I was going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the comfort of your home is really a good place, or I don't know. There's other public cars are a better option, in my opinion. Um, there's other venues, there's other places that I think could work. You know, a 2-hour rental at a motel. Okay, well, those you might have to worry about. Um,
Uh, the plus side about a steam room though, there would be all the steam, so
that's
it
true.
could block some people from saying if you didn't want an audience. Not that there's anything wrong with having an audience. Uh,
Yeah. That is true.
yeah,
And actually, maybe that's why steam rooms are more popular than saunas because of
because maybe you're
the
like
uh the
attracted to
view
the
being blocked.
yeah.
You're like, do I see a guy's head, in that man's crotch, or is that a mirage and an illusion?
I will say when I watched this show when I was younger, it gave me really unrealistic views of what it meant to be gay. So as I grew up, I was thinking, I'm doing gay wrong because I wasn't doing anything that the characters in Queers and Soaps were doing, or Queers as Folk were doing.
Yeah. Well, and also, um, they're in their late 20s and early 30. Well, late 20s and some are like 30, or 31. They're like around that age, except for Justin, but he's 17. So, okay. Um, anything else about these gym and bathroom scenes we have?
No, but I find things like that like I have my friend from New York talked about him and his boyfriend. They went to a club that was kind of a sex club, and I was just like, "Oh my god, tell me everything," because I'm just so curious about stuff like that. I just think it's fascinating that people are that brave that they can just. I don't know that I could do that.
Yeah.
Just go to a club and just
Yeah.
you know.
Have your
just,
choice of the menu. Um, are you talking about the Eagle?
I have no clue which
Okay.
club they were talking about. I just
But
know it
there
was
are a
in,
few. Yeah.
and they didn't know it was a sex club. My friend was just like, huh, it's interesting they have signs saying no camera usage or anything like that. I was just like, huh. Oh no, I'm from Arkansas. There's not a whole lot of stuff like that. So it's interesting to learn about what else is out there in the world.
Yeah. Do you have adult bookstores?
Well, we have like adult stores. I wouldn't say they really have books in them. They're more geared
Oh, well, when
towards.
I say bookstores, like adult bookstores usually means that they have a collection of videos and glory
Oh,
holes, and like
okay. Yeah.
bookstores
Oh,
just
well,
used
okay.
as a mirage,
Well,
as
we
a
don't
illusion.
have, they don't have like the glory holes or little film rooms where you can watch the films. It's very much just you have your clothing, some games, all the sex toys, videos, magazines, but it's very aimed towards heterosexual couples.
I see. Okay.
They
I
do have their selection of jungle juice, though, you know.
Wait, what is jungle juice?
It's poppers.
Poppers. Oh, okay. That's what I thought you
It's just
it
that's
was.
what it's. I remember I asked this. I was like, "What is jungle juice?" It's
But
like, oh,
anyone who
okay.
works at those adult stores, again, it makes sense. They're so open-minded. I mean, I would assume they are because
I
that's their job.
I love going to them just because it's something out of my comfort zone. When I went to LA, there was a hustler, uh, like in downtown LA, and I was like, I just want to go in it just because it's something like just if someone back home knew I was going in a hustler, they'd be like, like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm
Well,
like,
and like to speak about the drug culture, because some episodes are more drug heavy than others in Queer as Folk.
yes,
This one is more intense. Like jumping ahead, but we get with everyone out there listening. I don't always go in order, like right. I'm going in our stream of consciousness mind, but all of you out there should have seen this episode or at least watch it after this, and then maybe we'll give you that educational layer um, of analysis. But when Ted takes THP, is that
I thought wasn't it like
it's some kind of pleasure,
yeah,
like oh yeah,
one more of the
THP drug.
okay, it was one of the more hardcore drugs, I believe.
It is um I think it's called THP, but I'm looking now and apparently I'll have to see what is the exact one that they are referencing. But what did you feel when Ted is being exposed to a drug with a very, it's so sad because this guy is so angelic and naive seeming and sweet.
That scene brings up a lot of interesting feelings.
Mm.
My first love that I ever had, my first husband, um, had a pill problem
Oh.
and tried to hide it very well. And just um, when he died, it was pretty much cause of I feel, an overdose. We weren't together at the time, but it just makes me think like, oh my God, like brings back some memories that aren't so fond. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, it's traumatic to watch that just to see Ted laying there alone. This guy just runs out, not even caring. And it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. And I forget, does the guy who abandons him come back? Aaron?
yes, yes, he
In
comes
the show
back.
he does. Okay.
Yes, because they end up, I think, being a couple for a while. And when I first watched it, I was like, how could someone do that? But then you just, love is a funny thing. Um,
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about what you went through
oh
with
no,
your
I mean it's okay. It happened
with
years
his
ago, and it's just
yeah.
it's crazy how one scene can make you think of all these different things that you weren't thinking about thinking of.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like this show, even though it is um heightened and like you said, it speaks for a certain gay culture, it still hits all the emotional notes of everyday life. Like that's what I think brings me back to this show is it's so humanistic. It's so authentic about experiences. Like not everyone is going down on a guy in a steam room, but people know those who have, issues with fentanyl, or I mean, that's so apparent in our culture right now. And yes, addiction to painkillers,
Well,
so
and
addiction to alcohol. Yeah.
when I watch it now, I relate more to Ted and Emmett than I did when I was younger. I remember always thinking, "Ooh, I want to be like Justin," or I didn't really want to be Brian because Brian he was just such a dick. But I remember like thinking, "Oh, I know how Justin feels. I'll be like Justin." And I grew up to be like Ted and Emmett, just more on their lines of the person, feeling like you're not attract. Like I understand how Ted feels when he's in a club and he's seeing all these other guys and they're
Yeah.
dancing, just don't feel attractive enough.
So, do you think this guy who keeps winking at him, who eventually abandons him when Ted is having a seizure slash the reaction he has to this drug, like causes a stroke, mini stroke? I don't know. It's intense. Heart
Mhm.
attack symptoms. Do you think that this younger guy had good intentions? Or do you think that he was wanting to use Ted for this drug? Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby, the host and director of the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. I hope you're enjoying what you're watching on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. So to watch the rest of the episode, head to our Patreon. It is patreon.com/ Ivory Tower Boiler Room. That's Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And you can watch the rest of the episode on our $5 a month membership called ITBR Student, or join the ITBR Professor membership. It's only $10 a month. You get access to all of our videos. You get access to both of our book clubs, the Ivory Tower Boiler Room and the True Crime and Academia book club. Plus, you unlock all of our other episodes. So at the ITBR Student, you only get access to our weekly interviews and the True Crime and Academia episodes. For $10 a month, you get access to our ITBR Rewatches, our Teaches series, and True Crime and Academia Rewatches and Teaches series, plus the book clubs. Okay, can't wait to see you all on Patreon. And just a reminder, I also offer consultation services. It is $30 for your initial consultation. You get a 1 hour private Zoom with me, and I will help you whether you want to create your own podcast and or media brand, you want to navigate academia as an undergrad or grad student, you need help with technology as it relates to teaching or media, do you want to expand your social media presence as an artist, writer, podcaster, or academic, or even crafting your public humanities identity. I will help you with my consultation services. You can also find that on Patreon as well. Okay. Thank you all for watching and for supporting the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Bye.